Welcome to week number 1 of the Summer Stitch Along. I'm your host, Mikey. It is the study of geometry, and today we're going to get ourselves started. We have for you the written instructions, this tutorial, as well as a crochet diagram available to you. What we're going to do is get ourselves started. If I were you, I would do it like an assembly line. So I would do all 6 at the same time. So whenever there's a color change, just go and start the next one so that all of them are working at the same time. So by the time you're done this tutorial, you'll have all 6 already started. We're gonna stop at the tulips, so that's where I'm gonna meet you, and this is week number 1. So let's get started, and I'll meet you at the tulips. So welcome to my studio. Hopefully it wasn't a long walk from the park, and today we're gonna get started with Meet Me at the Tulips. We have the color breakdown. If you are substituting, I'm recommending that you do write the substitution that you're going to do with each one of these so that you can match it to the pattern as you go. So you can have different colors being able to go around. How I do it when I design is that I design one particular diamond, I determine if I like it, and then I do the rest of the 5 at the same time. So that's something that you can decide for yourself. We have the stitch abbreviations right here. The gauge is 13 single crochets by 14 rows, and it's approximately 60 inches in diameter, and you'll use an I 5.5 millimeter crochet hook with your Red Heart Super Saver or equivalent yarn. So what we have here is that we have the breakdown of the pattern itself. You're going to find a crochet diagram is on the last page here for this particular example, and when we're going to look at the colors with this particular one, all that information is right in the pattern. So let's zoom in on that and take a look. When we're looking at this diamond shape, we have a midpoint and a sharp corner, so the corner point, and so you're going to notice is that there's similarity of being like a reflection. So this side is the same as this side, same as this side. So it's like a square, but it's in a diamond shape. So the difference of the stitches will match each other, and you'll see that happening as we're going. So whenever there's a color call out, you see here that it's with A, that's the color A, and you keep using A until it tells you to fasten off. And in this case it's way up here. So whenever you're changing your colors, just follow this and use whatever colors that you'd like to. If you'd like to do a solid color, that's completely up to you. And we have the notes in this particular pattern. The notes are chain 4 at the beginning of round counts as a double crochet and a chain 1 space. Joining all the rounds with the slip stitch to the 3rd chain of the chain 4. You'll see that happening. Use a stitch marker if you would like to for the corner points and the midpoints. That's up to you. If you cannot identify those on your own, just mark it with a stitch marker. And to save time, I would recommend that you're going to weave in all the ends. I'm going to show you near the beginning of this when we go to change our colors how to weave in the ends with the tapestry needle. I recommend that you do that, and I would recommend that you do it as you go so that you don't have a gazillion ends at the end of this. And of course you can change the colors as often or as little as you wish. So with the 5.5 millimeter size I crochet hook, we're going to begin our journey, and let's take a closer look at that big diagram that's on page number 3. So here's the diagram in a bigger format here, and what we have here is that we're going to start off at the very beginning to start a circle, and then we're going to create an oval shape with the chain 1 on either side of here to start creating the points, and then round number 2 is where the points of the midpoint and the sharp corner is going to happen. And once we get that, you're going to notice the similarity of the same stitch work all the way down. So this side is the same as this side, same as this and this, and all you got to do is watch these corners because the corners are not equal to each other. Here on this round right here, round number 6 is the only time that the corner is kind of unique. So we want to watch that. When I was designing it, I realized that it needed to be more sharper. So what I wanted to do is I added an extra stitch here on the corners on both sides here so that it could be more sharp. So what we're going to do is that you can strategize this. This is your tulips here. This is the leaves that are, or the stems that are underneath the tulips. That's something that you can decide for yourself and how you want that presentation to happen today. So without further ado, we're going to get ourselves started, and grab your crochet hook and let's play and begin the beginning right there. So I'm going to begin. I am using Caron's Simply Soft as a substitution today, and a 5 millimeter size H crochet hook, but the pattern has been done with Red Heart Super Saver using a 5.5 size I crochet hook. Some people will identify that my hook and yarn looks different, and it is, so I don't want to lie to you about that. We're going to create a slip knot to begin our first circle, and we're going to start and we're going to chain a total of 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I need you to go into the very beginning of the chain and then yarning over, pulling it through to create the center ring, and I want you to put the straggler on the outside of the ring so it gets trapped underneath. And let's begin round number 1 next with the same color. So let's begin 1 and 2. So 1 and 2 are both the same color that we're using currently, and again you can change anything you wish. So just chaining up 1, make sure the straggler is around the outside of that same circle ring, and that can get stuck underneath so you don't have to sew it in later. So let's start off with the single crochet, and this will be the start of the midpoint later on in the future, but currently that midpoint corner will not be there in the first round. So we have a single crochet, so I want you to get bigger, so then half double crochet, and then bigger again, so double crochet, and finally the biggest will be a treble crochet. And now we're going to create the point. So the point will be chain 1, and now we have to do opposite to what we did. So we're gonna start with the treble, and then I need you to get smaller, so we're gonna do a double, and then a half, and then a single. So the single is the midpoint in the future. So we have to do the other side of the oval shape, so let's get bigger. So we're gonna do a half, and then a double, and then a treble, and then a chain 1, and then you're gonna do a treble, and then a half, sorry, a treble, then a double, sorry, and then a half, and then that's it. So you're just going to join to the beginning single crochet that you started, and your first round is complete. So it should look like this, and you should be able to identify those chain 1 spaces that make up those corners, but if not, just mark it. And if you went over top of the straggler like you should have, then you can just trim that down, and bam, it's gone. And we're now moving on to round number 2. Round number 2, we're going to chain 4, which will count as a double crochet and a chain 1. So let's do that. So 1, 2, 3, there's a double crochet, and the 4th one is a chain 1 space. In the same one that you're coming out of, I need you to put a double crochet, and there is your new midpoint corner for the first time. Now the next 3 that are gonna take you to the next point are each 1 double crochet. So let's do that. So the corner is next, and it'll be 2 double crochet to start, and then a treble. So we need that point to grow out longer, so that's why there's a treble there. And then chain 1 to create the corner turn, and then coming back into the same one, we want to do start and go opposite to what we just did. So we're gonna start with the treble first, and then 2 double crochet. Now I need you to double crochet all the way until you get to the single crochet. So stop before you get to the single. The first one usually always appears underneath this, so just shift it out of the way to expose more of the top of the first stitch. So you're just gonna double crochet the next 3, and that will take you to the single crochet being the next stitch after those 3 are in, which is right here. So this is the new midpoint corner, so it'll be a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet. Then you're gonna come on this side, so it'll be 3 double crochets in a row, and then your corner. So the corner will be the same as what it was on the other side, so it'll be 2 double crochets first, and a treble, and then a chain 1 to allow the turn, and then coming back into the same corner, just do opposite. So you're gonna start with the treble, and then 2 doubles. And now there's gonna be 3 stitches left. Okay, so if you can't see the first one, just shift it out of the way, just kind of pull on it. Because you're going around a space, you can do that, and just do the last 3 double crochets before you're getting to the beginning. So as I mentioned, for the join is joining to the 3rd chain of a chain 4. So this is a chain 4, so count it up and just make sure there's just one space left, like one chain left, and that will conclude that. So what I need you to do is that I need you to fasten off if you're gonna do the color changing like I am. So just cut it and just throw it through and just tighten it. So what I would recommend to you, because tail ends will pop out because that's just what they do, so in order to avoid that, put it through a tapestry needle and just turn it to the back side of the work and just carefully just go up underneath some of the stitch work. So don't impede with the outside edge, and pull so that it's nice and taut but not pulling on it, and go back and forth a total of 3 times. So anytime there's a stitch change or a color change, I need you to do this, and I'm not gonna demonstrate this again in the future unless it comes to the joining. Okay, so just get rid of that color, and then we're gonna begin round number 3 and turn it back over to the good side. So in round number 3, what we're going to do is that we're gonna chain up 4, so we'll join it to that chain 1 space of the midpoint. So there's your double crochet, chain 1, and so you'll chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next, and you keep doing that all the way to the corner. So the corner will be 2 double crochet, treble, chain 1, treble, and 2 double crochet, and when you start again, chain 1, skip 1, and do that all the way to the midpoint. If your counts are in balance, this will work out, and we're going to begin round number 3 with a new color. In this case it's the color B with whatever you've chosen. So let's start with the color B. In my case it'll be yellow. So with the good side facing up, the right side facing up, I need you to join it to the chain 1 space at the midpoint corner. So just go in, pull through, and join. And now I need you to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, that's a double crochet, and the 4th is a chain 1 space. Then just double crochet into that same spot that you just came out of. So there's your new midpoint corner. Leave this aside, you will have to bury that later. So chain 1, you'll skip the first one out, go to the second, and double crochet. And you're gonna do this all the way to the corner. So chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet. So I'll just be quiet as we make our way to the corner. So the corner's next. Make sure you chain 1 before you do it, and in the corner it'll be 2 double crochet, and then a treble, and then chain 1, and then do the opposite to what we just did. So it'll be a treble, and then 2 double crochet, and then you gotta start another side. So to start the next side, chain 1, skip the first one out, and you're gonna go to the second. If you can't see the first top of the first one, just shift it out of the way, and then do the second one, and then chain 1 and do this all the way to the midpoint. I'll be quiet now. Okay, so I've skipped 1. This is the midpoint corner. So I've chained 1, I've skipped 1, I'm already at the midpoint. So at the midpoint corner it'll be a double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, and then start another side. So chain 1, skip the first one out, go to the second, and you know what to do at this point. So just chain 1, skip 1, and go all the way to the corner. Okay, go right to the corner. So skipping this last one, you're in the corner, so it'll be 2 double crochet, and then a treble, chain 1, and then go opposite. So it's gonna be a treble and 2 double crochet, chain 1, skip the next one out, go to the second, and you're making your way back to the beginning. Keep doing what you already know. So when you're at the end, you'll chain 1 and then just join it to the third chain of the chain 4, and this is the end of this color. So we're gonna get rid of this color, weave in your ends, and we'll meet up in the next round, round number 4. So let's move on to round number 4. You can refer to the diagram if you need that extra assistance on where to go. So you want to join it into the chain 1 space at the midpoint corner and just join it with the slip stitch, and then you can start. So you're gonna chain 4, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, and you'll double crochet into the same one. Because you can crochet over top of the straggler, I recommend that you do that. So starting in the very first stitch, which is right here, this yellow, just move it out of the way if you don't have access to it, and just start, and I need you to double crochet in each one of the stitches and spaces all the way to the corner. I'll be quiet as I do that now. Once the straggler is underneath enough, you can let that go into the back and don't worry about it any further. You can cut that out later. So you do not hear me counting stitches because I'm not. I'm just following with what I see. When you get to the corner, it's a chain 1 and it's the same as what you already know. So it's going to be 2 double crochet first, and then a treble, and chain 1 to turn, and then a treble, and 2 double crochet. Okay, so when you start off, the first one is sometimes buried, so just make sure you pull things out of the way just to have access to it. And again, just starting with every stitch and chain 1 space all the way to the midpoint gets a double crochet. So I'll be quiet until we get there. So as you hit the midpoint, make sure you get the stitch that makes up that midpoint from before. So get that last double crochet before the space. And the midpoint corner is in the space itself, so it'll be a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then continue along. So just 1 stitch, double crochet into each of the stitches to the next corner. So the chain 1 space is next, so it's what you already know. So it's 2 double crochet first, and then a treble, chain 1 to actually turn, and then a treble, and then 2 double crochet, and then carry on down the side. Again, shift this if you don't see the access to the first one. So you make sure you come into the very last stitch here before joining it to the 3rd chain up, and we need to get rid of this color, and we're gonna talk back on the pattern because we have to turn this backwards for the next round. So get rid of this color and I'll get the diagram ready for you next. In round number 5, you're going to notice is that there's an arrow that is going in the opposite direction. So we've been crocheting in a counterclockwise. So what we have to do is that we have to turn the project upside down so that we're looking at the wrong side and do this stitch work. So this is a single crochet and a treble, and when you do that combination it's called a faux popcorn. So it's a fake popcorn really, and this is going to make some jumping out stitches really quite lovely. So in the corners it is slightly different. It's 2 half double crochets and a double crochet instead of what we have been doing, and the reason for that is that this is squatting down, so it's a shorter stitch when it happens, so therefore the corners have to be a little bit shorter as well. So we're gonna begin that. So grab your color for number 5 and we're going to begin, and the color for that is letter D as in dog. Let's begin that color next. So when I last left you, we were here on the right side of the project, the good side. I wanted to turn it to the back side and still find the midpoint chain 1 right there. And I need you to join it with a slip knot or slip stitch. And it's gonna be a shorter row, so you need to chain only 1, and we're going to single crochet in, chain 1 and single crochet in again. Now the very next stitch that comes out of this corner is always gonna be the same. It'll always be a treble, and the very last stitch before you end up in the next corner is always the treble as well, and there's no extra special counting. It just is the way it is. So you're gonna start off with the treble in the first stitch. So this is what's gonna squat down to create the faux popcorn, and in the very next stitch that you have, it'll be a single crochet. So you're gonna do that alternating between those 2 stitches. So the next one is gonna be a treble, and then the next one is a single. So please alternate. I'll be quiet as we do that. Actually I'll leave it on this side because it's the wrong side, and I'll see you at the first corner in just a few seconds from now. So we're just gonna opposite ourselves all the way down, so it'll just be a treble and a single and a treble, a single, and I will meet you at the corner in just a few seconds from now, and I'll be quiet. So I still have one more stitch to do before the corner. So the very last stitch here before the corner is always a treble. So noticing that it's just keeping in sequence, it's not anything special. So in the corners it'll be 2 half double crochets to start, followed by a double crochet, and then a chain 1 to turn the corner, and so we'll do opposite. So we're gonna do a double and then 2 halves. So the very stitch going out then from the corner, the first one right here is going to be a treble, and then you just keep going opposite to each other. So if that was a treble, the next one has to be a single, and you do that all the way to the midpoint. I'll be quiet as we do that now. I'm basically looking for where the midpoint is. I'm not counting. You can kind of see it as it's approaching. So the very last stitch before the corner of the midpoint is a treble, and that's just a matter of keeping the right count. And then in the corner itself, the midpoint, it's going to be a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and then you'll start another side. So starting out again will be a treble, and then a single, and keep doing that all the way to the next point. So the last stitch before the corner is a treble. So if it's not a treble, something in your count is off. Okay, so in the corner it'll be 2 halves again, followed by a double crochet, chain 1, followed by a double crochet, and 2 halves. So starting out another side, it's going to start with the treble and then a single, and keep doing those 2 stitches all the way to the next part, which will be the end of this round. The very last stitch is going to be a treble if your counts are right. And then you're just going to join this to the beginning single crochet with the slip stitch, and then I need you to fasten this off, and I'll be right back in just a moment. So as we're progressing into this round, during the playback and editing, I noticed I made a mistake right here, and this is that 6th round. And in the 6th round I stated that there was 2 double crochets, 1 treble, and another treble. In actual fact what it is 2 double crochets, 1 treble, and 1 double treble, and that also indicates here in the pattern. So as I'm working away, I'll put a note on the screen where you should be changing that, and just change that in order to make it work for you. Sorry about that, and it's not something that you always determine later, and you know, make it or fake it, and this is one of those times. So here's where we are. We're currently on round number 6. I've already turned it over. This is the good side of the work, the right side. So the faux popcorn will all be jumping out towards you at this point. So you were working on it like this a few seconds ago. So I need you to locate the middle one of the chain 1, which is between the single crochets, and we're going to attach and start round number 6. So I need you to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Sorry, it's white on a white background, and double crochet to the same one. So starting with the first single crochet that is coming out of this corner, which is right here, you're just going to double crochet yourself all the way in every stitch to the next corner. So that was the single, so this is the top of the treble, and then the single, and do this all the way to the corner. I'll just be quiet as we do it. Now round number 6, the corners, the sharp corners are slightly different, so make sure you go right into the very last one. So I determined that in this I needed a sharper corner, and I needed this to be longer. So this corner here is different than the rest of them. So you're gonna put in 2 double crochets first into the corner, and then 2 trebles. So there's an extra stitch being thrown in. And then we can finally turn. So chain 1 and coming on the opposite side. So you're gonna put in 2 trebles first in that same corner, and then 2 double crochet. So starting with the first stitch coming out, you're just gonna continue to double crochet all the way to the midpoint, which I'll be there in a few moments, and we'll talk at that point. So I'm looking for where the midpoint is. It's between the 2 single crochets, and which is next. It's right there. So here's the 2 singles in the middle. Just kind of follow it up, and in there you'll put in your midpoint, so it'll be a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet, and then continue to move around and double crochet to the next corner point. So the corner is like it was before on the other side of this, so it's 2 double crochet to start, and then 2 trebles, chain 1 to turn, and then do the opposite. So 2 trebles, and then 2 doubles, and then carry on to double crochet. In this case we're going to be coming around to the start. The trick is when you get around to the last section of this is that there is a single crochet before the midpoint. Make sure you do get that one so you don't miss a stitch. Stitch counts are provided into the pattern for you in case you're going wrong in any way, so just refer to the pattern if you need that. So I have 1 single crochet left, and then I'm gonna join it to the 3rd chain up of the chain 4. We're gonna get rid of this color and move on to round number 7, which will be the bottom stem of the tulips. So let's do that next. So let's look at round number 7. So round number 7 is the bottom part of the tulip, so it's like the green part or the stem. So what we have here is that we're going to start off in the corner, the midpoint, and you're gonna chain 4, which will be your double crochet and chain 1, and then double crochet back into the same one. You're always gonna skip 2 stitches and then do this larger V stitch. So it's a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet in the same, skip 2, and you'll do that all the way to the end. You have to do the very last one, so you're just keeping in the right count, so you'll do the last one the same way. And in the corners what we have is that we have a double crochet, chain 2, and a treble because we still need that to grow out, and then a chain 1 to turn, and then it will be a treble, chain 2, and a double. And so these 2 V stitches are slightly different than the rest. You'll start in the very first one after the corner and begin the process again with these V stitches all the way to the midpoint, and then you carry on around. Let's do round number 7, and you may want to choose a green color or something that you would like for your creativity for the tulip stitch. So let's begin, and just starting off my lighter green, and start off in the chain 1 space of a midpoint and join some new yarn and chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and double crochet in there. You'll have to hide in the loose end of this with a tapestry needle at the end. So skipping 2 stitches, you're going to do the V stitch, so it'll be a double crochet, chain 2, and a double crochet. Okay, and then skipping 2 stitches and a V stitch, so double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. I'll be quiet as we do this to the corner. if your stitch counting is right, when you skip 2 you'll have the last one. If your stitch count is wrong and you just have and you can only skip 1 in order to get to the last one, just do it anyway. Just throw it into the last one. You can probably bring yourself back in balance. I always try to design so that there's opportunities for those kind of situations to happen, but ideally it's better to get the right count, but if it's not, then just fake it or make it. The corners are unique, as I said, so you'll start off with the double crochet, chain 2 and then a treble, and then chain 1 to physically turn, and then we'll do that same thing going opposite. So we're gonna start with the treble, chain 2 and then a double. So that will allow us to put in some tulips onto the very end of that. Starting in the very first one out, I need you to put in a double crochet, chain 2 and a double crochet. So there's your V-stitch, and then start skipping your 2s. So skip 2 and begin. So I'll be quiet as you make your way to the midpoint. So I'm not really counting the amount of those, but that information is available on the pattern if you want that. But I'm looking for the midpoint more than anything. And I can see that it's coming up. So skipping 2, it takes me right to the midpoint, and in the midpoint you just want to put in a double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet, and then start again another side. So skipping 2 and do your V-stitch and continue that to the next corner. I'll be quiet again. Okay, so I'm making my way. So skipping 2 takes me to the very last stitch before the main corner, the big corner. So you put in your V-stitch in the last one, and then you begin your corner. And it's unique, so it's gonna be double crochet first, chain 2 and then a treble, and then a chain 1 to physically turn, and then do the opposite. So it'll be a treble, chain 2 and a double, and then you're gonna start with the very first stitch coming out with the V-stitch. So double, chain 2 and a double, and then start skipping your 2s until you get to the midpoint, which will be the end of the row. So I will be quiet until we get there. So I'm just coming up to the end, so skipping 2, which is the final 2, you're just going to join it to the beginning, the 3rd chain up, and don't misalign this middle one. So I want you to get rid of this color, and we're gonna move on to the final round for week number 1 next. Back to the diagram we go for round number 8. So round number 8 we're gonna create these tulip spaces. So what I need you to pay attention to the most here is that we're going to join, and you'll do your chain 4 as always. You'll come back in and you will do a double crochet into the first one here. Here, see, this is only a chain 1 here. So what I need you to do is only chain 1, but everything else is chain 2 in between, except for the very end. It's a chain 1 in order to bring back balance. So what we're doing is that we're creating these spaces in order for these to look like they're floating in space in the future. So these tulips are gonna go right into the chain 2 spaces itself, and so the number of spaces you have is the number of tulips that you'll have on top of that. So let's begin, and we're going to begin round number 8 next, and it's the final for week number 1. So we're gonna begin the 8th round and start with the chain, or a join right into the chain 1 space of a midpoint corner, and chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and double crochet back into the same spot. So here we're going to double crochet into the next double crochet here, and then we're going to begin our tulip stitches next. So to begin to do that, you're gonna, the first one out of a midpoint is going to only be chain 1, and you're gonna go right into this V-stitch. And so it's made up of 5 double crochets. It's a popcorn. So you're gonna put 5 double crochets in there. And then you'll release it and go to the first one of the grouping of 5, and you will just pick it up and pull through and chain 1 to lock it, just like that. Okay, so it's the chain 1 closes down the popcorn. You're now going to chain 2, so 1 and 2, and then move to the next V-stitch and do 5 double crochets in there. Okay, and then you can release and go through, pull through, and chain 1 to lock it, and then chain 2 to move on. I want you to do this. You don't need to see me continually do that because it's a little bit of a slower process, but I'm gonna go all the way to the very last V-stitch here, and that's where I'm gonna pick you up in just a moment from now. So I'm coming up, and here's the corner. Remember that there's still a V-stitch in that corner, so don't forget that. So I've already did my last one here. I've chained my 2 after it. So you're gonna do your final popcorn. So there's 9 popcorns in each side. If that helps you to know that, that's also written on the pattern if you need to know that too. Okay, so doing your last popcorn, and from here you're going to chain 1 to lock it like I just did, and then you'll chain only 1 after that, and then you'll come into this chain 1 space in the corner, and you'll put in 2 double crochets to start, and then a treble, chain 1 to turn, and then do the opposite. So you're gonna start with the treble first, and then 2 double crochet, and then you're ready to start again. So when you come out of this corner, you're only gonna chain 1, and then you'll come into the V-stitch here. It's still in the corner spot, so you put that there, and then you'll work on each one of these V-stitches all the way to the midpoint, where I'll meet you there in just a moment. So I've just now come across, and I have the next one, which is the midpoint. So I've already locked it, so you only chain 1 after it. So you're going to double crochet in the V-stitch here, like actually in the stitch, and then start your midpoint corner. So it'll be the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So when you start the next side, you have to double crochet into that stitch first, and remember that you're going to only chain 1 and then start your tulip stitch, your popcorns basically, as you're going down to the other side. So I'll see you at the next point, which is the next sharp corner
in just a moment. So I'm moving on and I'm almost at the point. Don't forget there's a V-stitch before the point. So just making sure that you get your stitches in there. So just making sure. I accidentally chained one too many here, of course. Story of my luck. So I'm gonna put in my final popcorn here before the turn. And then do that. And then after the final popcorn, chain one to lock, but only chain one to keep the balance, and then go right into the chain one space of the corner, and it'll be 2 double crochet and then 2 trebles. Sorry, just 1 treble. So 2 double crochet, 1 treble. Chain 1 and then you're going to start and do a treble first and then a double. So make sure there's 2 doubles there. So there we go. So to begin, chain only 1 and coming into the next V-stitch, which is the unique one of the treble and the double that is separated, and start your popcorns again. So I want you to go all the way to the midpoint, which is the next one coming up, which is the final of this round, and hopefully you're enjoying this. Karen Simply Soft was the original idea that we had for doing this particular stitch along, but there wasn't enough stock, so I stopped making the sample for it for once we got that realization. But I just think if you have the stock and you have some awesome colors, I just thrown some colors together here. It's just partial balls that I have, and I think it's a great stash buster as well. So continue this and I'll see you at the midpoint in just a moment. So I've just put in my last popcorn. I've already done my chain 1 to lock it, and then don't forget I still have to chain 1 after it. So it's only chain 1, it's not a chain 2 after it, and then you need to double crochet into this stitch here, right there, and then join it to the 3rd chain up and get rid of this color. So this is the end of week number 2. So let me just fasten this off and let's quickly talk. So I have all my ends woven in. This is the end of week number 1. This is Meet Me at the Tulips, which is where we are now. And when we come back on week number 2, we're going to complete this diamond. So I need you probably to do all of 6 diamonds to this particular point, and you will notice that if you put the sides together, they will all just fan out just perfectly. If there's a little bit of variation, don't worry about it, because when you do so, it does pull things together, and you will see that this will pull out even more too. So this is it for week number 2. We'll go back to the park. So let's just march on over, and I'll see you back there in just a second.
So don't be scared. We're working together as a community, and I just saw you walk on by. So we're gonna walk together as we go to week number 2 next week as we continue our journey. Make sure you get all 6 completed so that you can take week number 2, and we're going to finish all the diamond shapes next time. So I'll see you next time, and don't forget to share your creativity with us. If you're using hashtags, it's #Yarnspirations or #Yarnspirations, and also #The Crochet Crowd. We'll see you next time, and have a fabulous week. Bye-bye. Let's go walking.